I want to know more. Is there articles written about it? Wait, did anybody leak this? Is there leaks? Like, I have to dive in.
So
Go to
you
Reddit.
like those leaks? Keegan, this is news to me. We might need to rename our segment. Welcome back. Get ready to turn on dark mode where we treat video games, tech, and Cyberpunk 2077 like it's our 9 to 5. I'm one of your hosts, Taylor Floyd Muse.
I'm Keegan Lassard.
Yes, you are.
He's with a little juke juke.
Yeah, dude, I'm pumped. We got so much to talk about. I almost wanted to cut that intro short again. You know how last time we had a
You
packed
just
episode, I was just like, nah, get that shit out of here.
wasn't that the game? Wasn't that last year? Like literally.
I think it was when there was like the Sony event earlier
Oh,
this
okay.
year, and there was like legitimately we went through like every single trailer until we
Yeah.
decided to cut that kind of shit. So
Yeah.
well, where we start, man? We got the Game Awards we just came off of watching, which was like 3 hours long. And then you got some Marvel stuff to discuss, man. They are throwing out stuff. You dude, it's even got me pumped this time.
Like
Like,
it's stuff we're not even asking for, and they're just like, take it. Just
yeah, just force feeding. Yep. And then, of course, the game that we never thought would come out is out. Maybe it shouldn't have come out, but we'll get to that later. Um, Game Awards. Let's just dive right in. What were your thoughts?
Okay. It was 3 hours to tell us Last of Us 2 was good and that Doom Eternal was just robbed. Like,
Snubbed, just
like
completely like
if
forgotten about.
if we're just gonna talk just about the awards, and we can talk maybe about the like the reveals and stuff, but like from a awards perspective, I honestly forgot it was an award show. Like I was literally just waiting for world premieres, and like then and even I felt like even the people reading the winners forgot it was an award show. Like they were just like
Yeah.
I felt like they were just trying to get through it. Like, all right, best game direction is blah, blah, blah. All
Is
right,
this
now
the
we move
first
on
year
to
you've
this.
watched though?
No, I watched it last year.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because it's definitely changed over the last 3-4 years. So
And I don't know, like in the pre-show, they were even revealing game winner or like winners of categories. So I'm like, literally, that's them shitting on their own categories, being like, you're not even cool enough to get into the actual show. So yeah,
yeah,
you won. Like even like games like action and adventure, like a rather big category was in the pre-show, and then Last of Us 2 won, and they're like, oh wow, we won.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I agree with you what you're saying about like how it didn't feel like a game award show because there was more game reveals than award giving. And
Yeah,
that's not how it was the first year. I don't remember what year. I'm not going to go along the history, but I think I've watched like 3 of them, maybe 4. I don't even know if it's
right.
been around that long. But it was relatively fresh and they just, they gave majority of the awards and they showed some game reveals and I feel like it was shorter. And then this time I feel like over the few years, like people, especially like non-gaming companies, have just realized how lucrative gaming is and
Right.
where it's going. And like 2020 was just like it coming to a T, and like non-gamers started gaming, and then that I felt like I was watching an ESPN thing and not a game. Like I was watching on Twitch. It didn't feel like Twitch anymore. There was like planned ad rolls that were not like normal Twitch throwing in an ad. It was like pre-cooked. And then there
And
was like, oh, here's a
Stephen A.
game
Smith.
reveal. Yeah, they got Stephen A. Smith to come on, which I thought was a funny cameo. Like he was like, "Did they get me just to make sure that esports get the same respect that normal athletic sports get?" Probably not. And then he threw in some dig about how he was there to announce the esports like gamer of the year. And he's like, well, everybody on this list is probably more athletic than anybody on the Dallas Cowboys. And I was like, dang, bro. Like, Tim the Tap Man's crying over in the
I
corner.
will say one thing. It was really funny hearing Stephen A. Smith, a like renowned sports journalist, read those names.
True.
And
I
like
was
and
chuckling.
the whole thing of like any esports things, like they wonder why they're not getting accredited. Maybe it's because you got those stupid athlete names that are like X Cloud. Like it's just like just there are no athlete names. They're all just like their usernames, and it's just like silly hearing Stephen A.
Yeah.
Smith read them off as like nominees for like best athlete of the year.
Yeah, because, like, he's not he didn't know a single person on that list, so it's like,
Right.
it's a little bit questionable, but, like, it would be very weird if these esports athletes did go by their actual names because, like, people only know them by their in-game tag, so, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's fair.
But, I don't know, I agree with you, the show was pretty drawn out, I was actually, like, multitasking while I was watching, but, like, so, it went by faster for me, but if I just sat down and watched all 3 hours straight, I don't think I would have really enjoyed it because the games that we were there for weren't really like, we talked about it last episode, like, it doesn't have that oomph this year, like, it was kind of a weird lineup, but one thing that I thought was, like, kind of cool, and it was, like, a unique case because everybody or, like, 99% of the people in the show were virtual through Zoom, and they accepted their awards through Zoom. Some of them sounded pre-scripted because they probably told them, other ones looked genuine, and I will say, some of the indie game awards, like, because the people weren't in like a public crowd like setting, you got to see their natural reaction. There were people crying and like hugging their wives and getting all pumped and like actual waves of emotion because their smaller indie game won a big award. And it was like really cool to see that genuine reaction cuz like some people try to play it off cool when everybody's around or like they get the anxiety of the crowd because there's
Yeah.
like a lot of the game devs they are introverted. They don't want to be on stage accepting an award. So like I thought that was super cool how like there was one dude that like he started like almost crying. Then Among Us, they won the best multiplayer and mobile game, and like the girl was like trying to get through the the award, but it was like such a genuine reaction.
Yeah.
Chat was like positive for once. They were throwing hearts and like ahs in, and I was like, "What is this? Like, this is nice." So
Yeah.
that was really cool. That was probably like the best part of the show to me.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like anytime Among Us won, their reactions were always so good.
Yeah.
I think another thing that was cool, but at the same time a negative, which is a really weird feeling, was all the games that are getting the next advancements that we knew were happening, and then their names are just the original name. Like
Yeah.
Dragon Age, Mass Effect, or Perfect Dark, right?
Yeah. Perfect Dark. Yeah.
Yeah. Like all these games that like I knew were getting I didn't know Perfect Dark was getting a remake or not a remake, but another installment. But then
Whatever it is,
but
a
like
reboot.
when they have the teaser and if they don't have a name fleshed out, in my opinion, that shouldn't be like the end, like, like, ooh, pop, like this is the reveal.
Mhm.
Because there is nothing else to reveal. Like you already revealed what series it is by the teaser. If you don't have a name pending, you could just put like Spring 2021, not Mass Effect. Like
True. It said Mass Effect will continue, which I think is a little bit better than just showing like
Dragon
a
Age or
base title. But
yeah.
let's get to the actual games, the awards. So we only went through 7 in our previous week and because there's so many different categories, but
Right.
we're just gonna go ahead and say if we were right or wrong. I don't even remember everything we chose to be honest, but I know what I wanted and what happened. So
Taylor's like, I remember exactly what we were, and you're 100% right. I'm like, all right, seems sus, but okay.
yeah. So, we'll do game of the year last, of course, but we're just gonna crank through these. So, simulation and strategy game. You said that you wanted Crusader Kings 3, and if it doesn't win, you quit and you don't care about anything. That's what you have in our little show notes here.
Yep.
So, it's unfortunate that you're gonna have to quit and not care about anything. So,
I was
um,
really upset.
Microsoft Flight Simulator won that category,
I was
which
upset that they combined that category. Like,
yeah, but I guess there's not a lot of other worthy simulation games, so, like, they kinda lumped it, which is it's unfortunate, but, like, I can't name you another simulation game that, like, came out this past year.
Farming Simulator comes out every year.
But, like, alright, now that's 2 games, like, it's kind of a weird category. Alright, so next up,
That was
we
upsetting.
we got multiplayer, which we already kinda mentioned, well, we did mention. Among Us got. Um, and it also won mobile. So they originally made it as a mobile game, so they were like pretty pumped to get both titles. They were real pumped about that. I think it's cool. I mean, I
I was
personally
surprised
think
that they
there's better multiplayer games, but you gotta admire its what do you call it? Its reach that it had.
it was annoyingly popular when it got popular. Like
Yeah,
every workplace is like, let's do something original. Let's do an Among Us happy hour. And everyone's
yeah.
like, okay, I'm hip. Good.
So next up we got best role playing game,
Mhm.
and I mean, what did we even say? I think I said something about Persona 5. Uh I think I wanted to win. I don't like I said, I can't even remember. But what actually won was unfortunately Final Fantasy VII Remake, which
I just remember us talking about it and I was upset that it was even in the category.
yeah, because it's not even the full game. So
And it's
we
not
don't
really
have to
role
go
playing.
back down that that path. I wouldn't say it's not really role playing. Like it is an RPG, but it's just like, is it gonna go up for another award when part two comes out? Like that's stupid. So
Yeah.
best art direction. Let me see what we got here. Uh Ghost of Tsushima won this. I like that. The game's beautiful. Enough said.
Yeah,
Like
because we talked about how you actually went into like the screenshot mode of the game
yeah,
for the yeah.
photo mode to look at how beautiful it is. So that's a good one. It's a tough call between that and Hades because Hades was also a beautiful game, hand drawn, everything. But I think Ghost of Tsushima takes the cake on that one. Best performance. All right, this is where it was up for between like I really didn't think anybody else in the category was gonna be
Yeah.
contending. It was just Laura Bailey as Abby and I forget her name for Ellie. But Abby won. And I was so happy because I was like, all right, they gave props to the person that made like the most controversial character of the year. She mentioned it in her speech. She was like, it's excellent that I get to perform at such a character that gets such passionate responses. And she's like, and it's so integral into the story, like Joel and Ellie's story. Like, I don't know. I really respected her speech that she gave, but she did an excellent job. I'm really pumped about it. So
Yeah.
that was good.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, but that whole category is like, okay, we'll
Yeah.
we'll see what it comes down to.
Yeah. So best music was not Doom. That right there is dumb.
Like, Last of Us 2 is gonna win enough tonight. Like they could have just been like, okay.
They didn't win this category though. They won sound design, which I guess is
Oh,
different because that's the overall, like sound effects
I
and
got it
music
mixed
too.
up.
Yeah, but score and music went to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Which
And I mean, I can't really judge because I didn't play the game. I heard a little bit of snippets and it's really nice orchestral music, but like I mean, I don't know. I just like Doom had so much more like energy pumping, but I think that's just like what I
they
gravitate towards.
they
you
had
know?
a documentary about how they made the score and invited like over 20 heavy metal bands to contribute their voices and guitars to the like they put so much thought and care in how they wanted it to reflect in the game that it's just kind of if you're not going to give them game of the year or any other categories apparently like you could have at least given them this,
Yeah.
but I
Like
guess it's not determined by it's by the gamers.
I mean, looking at the other categories that it was nominated for, I really only think music and the score was its is only contender because uh for first person shooter games, uh what one for did they have that as a category? I don't see that. That's a little bit weird. I feel like there was one in the past, could be wrong, but maybe that should have been its contender because it's like the OG, first person shooter that kind of
Maybe not enough FPS came out this year.
slingshotted the game toward. Well, I guess that would be kind of a lot of overlap between multiplayer one. So
Yeah,
I don't know. Either way, I do think it got snubbed in the music category. And it is a little bit like tough though, but like a lot of the other categories it was nominated for, it wasn't the best in my opinion.
fair.
Then the final one that we talked about was game of the year. And we didn't talk about all the other awards, but The Last of Us kind of, I think it got 7 awards, and it was game of the year. I'm just gonna get it over with. There's no build up. It was expected, I guess. And I guess I said previously I was a little worried that they were going to have it win all these categories and then not win game of the
Yeah,
year the same way Red Dead did when God of War won the actual game of the year. Now
yeah.
I am so happy that God of War won that year, but I thought they would do that here. So considering every other game in the category though, the nominations just wasn't it. Like it didn't have that overarching just like goodness. This was the clear choice.
It
So
was a light year. It was a light year, and we talked about it last time that like a lot of these categories had like not much competition. I will say one that we didn't talk about last time, and we haven't talked about yet today, the community one where we kind of jokingly talked about Siege being still brought up.
mhm.
I was genuinely shocked that Fall Guys won that. That
Yeah.
like their community support, like
That it must just be because of their Twitter. Like
it,
they had such a savage Twitter and it sparked so much with the community. Like I think that has to be the reason.
but
People
like
loved it.
yeah, I guess that, but at the same time, like if I think of that category's description, I like they're a small team and they don't really implement that many new things into the. I don't know. Like I
I mean,
felt
I
like
agree with you.
okay,
I'm just telling you why it happened because there's
yeah, yeah,
no
yeah.
other reason. Because like, yeah, that game is already kind of like over the hump. Like I haven't played it again, and
I don't.
it's not as popular as Among Us is still, and even Among Us
Yeah.
kind of has fallen off. But hit me with the Marvel stuff because that was the Game Awards in a nutshell.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay, Marvel has been like it's a love hate thing right now because I love what they're telling me, but I wish they wouldn't have. I really.
And at first, I didn't understand like why you would be so upset, but then when you kind of brought it around to me, you're like, well, like think about it. Who else are these people going to be playing that
Yeah.
they're announcing? Like these should be just like on-screen reveals. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
So for the longest time, Spider-Man 3 has been giving a lot of vague hints for, ever since the last Spider-Man came out. And obviously, Tom Holland's casting, we were wondering if like he was gonna get his contract extended, or if they're gonna, keep it going with Marvel and Sony working together. They are, so we got over that hump and that news cycle.
Hmm.
And then they casted Doctor Strange to be in the movie, and they casted Benedict Cumberbatch in the movie, and you're like, okay, things are gonna get a little weird. Maybe we're gonna go into dimensions. And then that hype, that fanboy hype happened, and I talked about that prior.
Hmm.
And like, it was fun. Like it's supposed to be fun guessing. That's all what Endgame and all the movies were is guessing. And when trailers come out, they leave or they put misleading things in the trailer. That's fine. But now they're just casting and they're telling us who they're casting. And they brought in Tobey Maguire back. And they brought in
Andrew
well,
Garfield.
they brought back him, and then they brought back Jamie Foxx.
And then
And we're
what's the
just
name of the actor for Doc Ock?
I don't know his name, but I forgot about that one.
But yeah, the OG Doc Ock's coming back. So like,
And then they and then the cherry on top of all those, there was a huge Twitter campaign, and I contributed, and our podcast Twitter supported the campaign to save Daredevil. They casted him into Spider-Man 3. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, and this is within like 2 days. This is 2 days of like news cycle. I'm sitting here happy and at the same time super sad at the potential loss.
yeah,
Like Disney isn't thinking about the fact that like there's a huge campaign of thousands of people and fans waiting to hear if Daredevil's going to be saved or not. Can you imagine, Taylor, if they waited until Spider-Man 3 butts in seats, tickets bought, and then on screen he comes in
I mean
and
that's
we're
the
just
way to
like
do it.
I guess he's saved, and we're all like I'm hearing the cheering in my head, but now it's just like, yeah, I know he's in the movie. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And then guess what happens today? Hours before our episode, they say that the guy that plays the Punisher in the Marvel Netflix series is gonna be still within the the Marvel universe. They're still gonna cast him. but they didn't say anything about Spider-Man 3, but they're just answering all these questions that kind of have a little bit of hype to them, like whether or not they're going to answer or not, and they're just like, yeah. like
So here's where I'm coming from an outside perspective. I don't do the guessing game leading up. I'm not that hardcore of a fan. Since I came into and I watched all of the end game after the fact and caught up and I liked it. Now I'm kind of like in a different position going forward because now I'm like know kind of what to expect. And I like it. But I'm a little bit like, are they doing this either to throw red herrings or because they have some other kind of surprise up their sleeve? Because yes, this sounds pretty spoiler heavy, and you're kind of like, well, that would have been cool to see in a stinger post credits because that's how they do it. You know, you'd watch the end of the credits, and then there would be some stinger about what's next. And that was how you got the next part every time. Maybe they're like tired of doing that style and they're trying some new approach because I would hope that's the case. Because right now, it sounds like a setup for like it to be underwhelming once it's playing in theaters or on demand or whenever whatever's happening.
yeah, that's a whole nother episode to talk about the whole in theaters versus on demand. But
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and I have the same concern, dude. Here's the problem. Them telling us who they're casting like this and it being on the IMDb and it's there is setting an expectation in our head, just like seeing Hulk in a Infinity War trailer, and then he's not really that prevalent in Infinity War. And
But you did just say them putting fake scenes in the trailer is fine. So like
it is,
does
but I'm
that
saying,
actually bother you?
but here I was getting to it.
Okay.
That the trailer misleading part is allowing for the imagination to take place. Them just casting people and telling us way too early with no teasers or trailers is causing us, me at least, to spiral in thought process of what they could do with it and the potential. I'm not seeing it on the screen of like brief, you know, Hulk, smashing something. Like I get that's what he does. Like if it doesn't happen, like I'm sure there's a reason. So all these, Doctor Strange, all the other Spider-Mans, even a past villain with Tobey Maguire in it, like if they don't do a Spider-Verse, in actual cinema, not animated, or they don't utilize these characters and it's just a end of scene, really funny, like he's walking down the street doing the dancing bit, and they don't utilize it, and they made a huge deal about casting them. Now I'm pissed. Now that little teaser is
But
ruining
hold
me
on.
because
Are
I
they making a big deal about it right now or is it the news outlets that are making a big deal about it?
I
Cuz
would
I feel
say,
like those are the ones that hype it up and then your imagination runs crazy based
okay,
on that.
I would say it's both. I mean, like Disney and Marvel knows as soon as that casting gets out that news articles like that will get a hold of it. Like that information doesn't go out lightly. It isn't it there isn't it's not just random that Doctor Strange got announced and then one other thing got announced and it just slowly got the ball rolling. They're warming up because today we're recording on the 10th. Disney's having a huge thing about Star Wars and the future of Disney Plus and Marvel TV shows, Hawkeye, um, Loki, all the Mandalorian, like all these shows are getting hyped through Disney and Marvel. Next up, come like close to Christmas, is gonna be a Spider-Man 3 teaser trailer or something. Like guarantee. And so it's not just random that a lot of these leaks about casting is happening. They're
I'm not
getting the
saying it's
ball.
random, but the same thing that you just said about the imagination going when you see a character in the thing. Okay, let's say you see a character in a trailer. You're going to start speculating what their purpose is, what they're doing there, how much they're going to be in the movie. If you see a casting member, you do the same exact thing. I agree it sucks that it's like so early, but it's ultimately the same thing of them giving you stuff beforehand. This
Okay.
is why
Yeah.
I actively do not watch trailers for Marvel movies before going there. I don't want to see it. I'm just going to go see it. I don't want to see anything. I like going in blind. And as soon as I heard that they put fake shit in, I was like, I'm never watching another one again on purpose.
I I guess you're right. Like it is the same thing, and it goes back to our hype conversations about receiving the information beyond too early before even the trailer.
Exactly.
And I think that's what makes me the most mad is I think I would have rather like to reveal that either in some sort of video content of the trailer teaser that would have been fine. I would have been the same hype, or in the theater. I I don't know, like it has me all clustered, and I have the reason I haven't even dove in or why we're not talking about the Disney release stuff that's coming out tonight is because I haven't gotten to watch it all, and I'm kind of nervous too because it's like overwhelming. Because as a comic book nerd and a Star Wars nerd, you want to know everything as possible as much as possible.
You gotta calm
And they and
it.
you and for years I've been wanting really big story arcs, and finally Disney and Star Wars and Marvel are all like, "Here we go. Buckle up. Like we're going to give you guys the now with their really good TV shows, and hopefully with what they're going to do with Disney Plus is just going to be massive." And the reason I can't stay away from trailers is because for years and ever since like high school, junior high, if a comic book and movie came out, I wanted to make sure I leaving the movie, I was the most well read on the subject matter. Because I had friends always go, Keegan, is that like comic book like accurate? Like, is that like just the same way if somebody went to go see Harry Potter, the book nerd that read Harry Potter needed to stay up to make sure, like, oh, that wasn't in the books. Same thing with the comic books. Like, I need to make sure I have my bases, like covered. So I'm just excited, but at the same time, there's nothing for me to grip onto. I can't grip onto a
Yeah, but
casting.
I guess that's where like all that stuff that you need to be comes post movie,
Yeah.
not pre movie. So that's where you kind of need to like rein it in, like stay off the Twitter for a little bit, stay off the. I mean, you're gonna see it because sometimes you just sign on and like things are in your
That's what
face.
happened with the Daredevil news. I literally got on Facebook. It was the first thing I saw. I'm like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, but like I guess like you gotta kind of curb it because like that like we talked about this with video games and how your mind runs wild. And I was watching some streamer and like he was like, dude, these people that like are treating the game like it's gonna cure like all these diseases, like of course they're gonna be disappointed. Like you kind of have to like take it like it's gonna be a good game, not like it's gonna cure cancer. Like and that's where I feel like I'm starting to kind of get less hyped about certain things so early. So that's where I guess, yeah, this is a very good comparison to draw. And it's unfortunate, but I also think that, like, in my opinion, like, I'm just gonna like keep going. Like, I'm not gonna think about it too hard. But
I
I
just
guess you can't contain yourself.
I wish I could be that guy that's just like, oh, they dropped a trailer. Cool, can't wait to go see that movie. And like not like even click on the trailer. But I'm the guy that's like, I want to know more. Is there articles written about it? Wait, did anybody leak this? Is there leaks? Like I have to dive in.
So
Go to
you
Reddit.
like those leaks? Keegan, this is news to me. We might need to rename our segment from Keegan Leaks to Keegan 99% leaks that he hates, 1% that he likes. Because what? I've never heard you say this. Let me go find the leaks. That's
Well,
the recipe for disaster for you.
think of this way. The leaks for like comic book stuff and like movies tend to lead more into the conspiracy and the theory of the imagination where they're going to go with it. It'll have like a little bit of
Yeah, it's more
information,
fan theory
and
related.
yeah, so you have to, it's almost like searching for a Reddit like thread. Um
I
but yeah,
understand the appeal. It's
okay.
just very funny to hear you say like I go search for the leaks after you like been bashing on leaks for like over 60
You know,
episodes.
maybe I should just like anything that like Marvel or nerd stuff and just be like, oh, it looks like shit, and then move on. Like tell
Well,
myself
don't
it
say
looks like
looks
shit.
like shit. Well, I guess yeah. If that's what you need to say, if that's what you need to
That's what I'm
say,
saying. Maybe I just need to be like hella negative, like it's gonna be fucking awful. Like just move on with
or
my life.
you could just like exactly what you said, see it like I can't wait to go see that movie, and then just kind of like freak out a little bit inside, and then just like don't
Just
click on the article. Like do a little happy dance, but then don't click on the article. Just like go play something else. Go play Cyberpunk 77 or 2077. Game's trash. No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
uninstall.
Where do we want to start with this? Huh? Where
Let's start with the installation process. Let's just dive let's just dive into the fact that nothing can release normally in 2020 this year. Like
yeah.
consoles can't come out, graphics cards can't come out, and a game I bought that I preloaded, I can't install day one patch and play.
See, I don't understand why the day one patch has to be installed at release time. Why can't you just give me the patch so I can play it right at the time? Because I feel like that's how it is on consoles. Like you don't really normally have to. Well, I
'Cause,
guess
like,
if you put the
are
disc
they
in, but
patching things, like, up to the freaking wire? Like,
no, no, no. The patch was ready to go. They just don't release it until release time. I guess because they don't want people playing the full game early. Because technically, like if you had it, you could find a way to like get into it early.
yeah, but
Probably.
they could make it where the day one patch is, like, literally, like, 10 megabytes or something, like
Not in this case, dude. That's a normal thing to do, but this game was not finished.
No, I know, I'm saying that if they knew what the day one patch was, they could make the preload include that, and then, like, the technical day one patch is, like, a small, like
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it was on GOG. It wasn't on Steam. So Steam's installation process
oh,
was
shit,
garbage.
uninstall Steam.
GOG's was 100 megabytes. Steam
Okay,
was
GOG, I see you.
3.5, 3.8 or something, but it didn't work.
Yeah,
It just freeze. And I was waiting there for like an hour. Like, can I get into the game? Like, because I knew how broken the game was prior to day one patch that I didn't even want to just hit play. It's not as
yeah,
simple just like, oh, just press play. Don't get the
no.
update. It's like, no, no, no. It's going to be unplayable without it. So,
Like, this game should be unplayable for another year, but, like, I found it funny, so, like, once it finally installed and you're getting to the screen and you're doing your character customizations, which we'll get into that, but immediately I see a bug. Like within, like,
your
2
QA
minutes,
senses are tingling.
like, literally 2 minutes into the game, and the character face froze, so no matter what I was choosing, it was changing the appearance underneath you could see it changing underneath, but had all these face tattoos and stuff, because you know how wild the face tattoos can get. What it froze on was, like, as if the person just selected everything possible you could have on like, the face, so it
Yeah.
looked super ugly, and I couldn't there's no workaround. And then so I'm like, "Okay, I'll just exit out of this game save and start anew." And it was like it followed it. It just wouldn't get rid of it. "Oh, switch to female?" No, the female has all the fucked up shit now. And, like, so I'm like, "I guess I need to reboot." And I close out of it, and then I hit play, and then all of a sudden Steam's like, "Nope, nope." It wouldn't let me launch back into Cyberpunk, and I'm like, "Am I just about to have a game crashing bug, like, day 1?" But then on, like, the 3rd try, it let me back in, and I was able to go through the character customizations and stuff like that. It was so ugly, though.
Yeah, and then I was doing the same, but my issue with the character creation was halfway through it, it was permanently inputting like either up on the like WASD or on the number keys or something, but I couldn't like put my cursor anywhere. It would just keep going up, 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 and just go to the top and stop there. And I was like, what? So I'd like backed out, went in, like it's still in the game, didn't work. So I had to quit the game, come in, remake my character, and then start. So off to a bad start with bugs. Should we just continue on the train of Bug City?
Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Then I
Cyberbug
chose
77?
Yeah, then I went to the Nomad, and then, like, the Nomad storyline to begin with is, like, you have no I thought, like, "Oh, I'll choose that one because it's, like, outside the city to begin with." And I figured if you do the other ones, you wouldn't go out there for a long time.
Mhm.
But little did I know, you spend literally 10 seconds out there, and then you go you're in you're in. Like, you don't spend any time out there. And
I
then
was like, "Wait, you already in the city? You beat me to the city before I even finished my character, and I chose Corporal, which starts in the city."
and, like, I was so disappointed by that, but regardless, we can get to that later. The bug I found was, like, within 2 minutes of the actual, like, intro gameplay of the major storyline. So you can't like, you already off the get-go, you cannot tell me it's an edge case. Literally
I love this, like, 2 QA guys, just bugs, 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 you can't tell me shit. Oh, man.
But basically, the guy your companion, like, is supposed to hand you a chip in the car,
Yeah.
and he, like, does it behind his back, and he, like, holds out his hand, and there's just nothing there. And and because there's nothing there, the dialogue doesn't prompt. So then there's like literally a lull of like 2 minutes of me staring at the side character and him like waving his hand around like, yo, take it. And I'm like, and then the dialogue is going nowhere. There's nothing for me to hit F on. So I'm just like, restart. And then it figured out what was going on. And then it prompted saying, take the chip. And then as I grab nothing. And then as it pulls, like the hand goes to the face, then it magically appears. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way that this bug wasn't found. And because it's literally like the intro. You
But
would
see, here's the thing though. A lot of these are graphical things, and also they like I don't know how many test systems they do this on, but like we also I think we both forgot to update the drivers before going in, so that could be the case because like Nvidia usually updates drivers for a launch, but like still it's dumb that this is happening in the intro, but I also like I wonder how like I don't think that's something that they see and ship. Because I know there's some bugs in here that they're just like that's fixed later, but like
yeah.
I don't know. How about the fact that I could see foliage outside on the ground through the building? That's like miles off in the distance. I'm like, why is there a freaking palm tree next to this guy's head? Like, where is that? And like, I started like thinking about like, oh wait, is that like outside? I look down, there's just trees all over the floor, like tiny little trees, and you could see them moving and loading in and stuff. And
Bro,
I couldn't do it.
that's hysterical. And then like me getting in the car because that Nomad, like the main thing out there is they're all drive cars and they're all mechanics or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Get in the car and then like I can't change the camera angle of the car.
It's busted.
It just won't let me. And I absolutely hate driving in games when the view is you with the steering wheel
Yeah.
because I
First
feel
person.
like that takes you away from the world so much. And this whole game is about being immersed in the world. And I'm just like, I want to see the landscapes. And I'm like driving with the windshield. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And like
I
the
guess
this
it's like a matter of preference with how immersed you feel in first person versus third in the car. Cause like technically, like that's more immersive being first person, but some people hate it. And cause it's just hard to control. So you spend
what's
more
hard to
time like
control
screwing up than
and you can't see you can see the atmosphere and everything, but you can't see like the scope of it, right? You can't see the bigger
but then I guess
perspective.
I would just argue like that's what you see in a car. So like they want you to experience driving in Night City. Granted, it's not great, but like that's what driving is. So you have the option to, and it sucks that it doesn't work. But like that's when you like get out and walk around because you see the crowds and you see the scope. Like then you feel like an ant. But it's
But
stupid.
that bug is off and on. It'll happen sometimes and it'll happen other times. Like I'll be like, oh, it's working now, and then I get in the car again later, and I'm like, nope, it's still not working.
Yeah. Now here's another. I don't know if this is really a bug or just an oversight or maybe it's coming later because a lot of these bugs will be patched. Like that's a rite of passage. A game that released that
No, the game's
been
trash.
delayed so many times. Hey, we'll get to the verdict later. It's been delayed so many times, they rushed it, blah blah blah. They'll patch it later, whatever. I can't like I was worried I wouldn't be able to play this on my system. I have a 1080, it's stretching. It can play 1440p games pretty well usually if they're optimized. And a lot of older games, fine. And I got it 3 years ago. And I was like,
Yeah.
I need to get an upgraded card for this game. Then 3080s were impossible to get. So like I was like, okay, we'll see how it runs. And it does not run well in 1440p when on the 1080. It gets like 40 frames and less. And then I was like, okay, I can't play that. Like I'm used to seeing at least 60. I have a 144 hertz monitor, but lately I haven't really been hitting that top in most modern new games because they're getting more and more demanding. So I'm like, okay, I'll do what I did in Control. I'll knock it down to 1080p, see if it upscales. It
Yeah.
doesn't upscale. It just looks
At all.
blurry as shit. No, like if you change it to 1080p, the game looks like a potato. So I was
Console
like,
gamers.
no, because I have a 1440p monitor. It
Oh,
like
okay.
it's stretching the image, like, but it doesn't like do any sort of like super sampling and upscaling. Like it's whatever. So the game looks butt ugly. So I bust out the gaming laptop that I got for playing it on my trip and also video editing and stuff. And
Yeah, yeah.
on that 1080p 240 hertz screen, it looks beautiful because
Yeah.
it's an actual 1080p screen. I get at least 80 FPS on that, which is acceptable. I like that. And it looks really good. Now, I just find it a little bit weird that they don't have, like an upscaling option because this game is a lot more demanding than they let on, and it's because of how unoptimized it is. So anybody that plays above 1080p with like kind of like, recent hardware, not like the bleeding edge stuff, is going to have like annoying time with it. So
Yeah, their
I don't know.
recommended and minimum specs were not what they
Yeah.
should have been.
But also the minimum specs usually are for like 720p 30. Like nobody's trying to play that on PC. That's worse than console. Like
Yeah.
get out of here. So I don't know. That was interesting, but I was able to play it on the laptop.
No, I mean, one thing I'll say is you really weren't able to play it for a while because you spent probably like 3 hours figuring out your controls. Like,
My guy, these controls. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of a breather roll here
yeah, just
before I go
take a
in.
breath. Let's just take a Zen break.
This is
We'll
no,
have
this is
a
one of those
little graphic
breathe
right
in.
here.
Listen, this is one of those breathe in, boy.
Scream.
No, not a scream. This is a boy. Let's start with The Witcher 3. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know. I don't think I played that game at launch, but I started it on console. Now, I didn't have a PC to play it at that time, but I have played it on PC. That's what I completed it on.
Okay.
PC games are meant to have keybinds that can be remapped any way you want. That's like
Correct.
the benefit of it. Now, The Witcher 3 has menus, pops up. You have like your crafting, your alchemy, you have your map, your inventory, and other things. And you can press that button to get to that menu, or you can press buttons dedicated to getting you into each one of those individually, directly. And you can press them to go in between them when you're in the other one. So it's just fast. Like I'll press J to get to my journal so I can see my missions. I press I to get to inventory. I press M to get to map. I'm all over the place. Not in this game. They have the same layout, that main menu with the subsections, but only some of them have mappable keybinds. So like I gets to the inventory. Now, if you press one, like J for journal to see your missions, and then you want to go to the map and you press M, nothing happens. You can't go to the map from the journal. You can't interact with the other things without backing out to then go back into the menu to then go where you want. And those keybinds are hard locked. They don't even show up as customizable. Like they're not an option. So when I was like, oh, I want to map that to I or J or whatever, it was like keybind failed. And I said, excuse me? What do you mean failed? Like I pressed the key, it's there. And it just says failed. And I'm like, okay, I backed out to press the button. And then that's when that popped up. And I'm like, oh, so these are hard locked. And they don't even tell you that. I was so upset. I was like, that's really dumb. I feel like I'm so cumbersome interacting with their UI.
And it's not like a new way of thinking. Like, to put it in perspective, WoW vanilla, World of Warcraft vanilla, like literally every sub menu was key bound to something it could be changed. Like
Yeah.
every subsection was like its own shortcut.
But even a more direct comparison is the game they made, the
Right.
same freaking company 5 years ago. Why take steps backwards, man? So that's one half of the keyboard. The right half of
Yeah.
the keyboard, off limits. Can't use it. If you're a lefty gamer and you use IJKL, can't do it. Screw you. Got to get a gamepad or some other shit. I don't even know if that would work. Now,
Yeah, actually.
left
That
hand,
wouldn't.
left hand, right? Where your fingers go, they go on WAS. You use those buttons. Now, I'm an F for interact person. Some people are E for
Mhm.
interact.
Mhm.
Can't change that. Nothing. Also, most games allow for you to use F for multiple things. F
Yeah.
for interact, F for dismiss, F for like get rid of this dialogue because you're not doing those things at the same time. This game said, no, we're going to have different buttons contextually. So like you press F to loot, but you press C to dismiss dialogue. and then you press E to do some other crap. And I'm like,
I
okay,
didn't even
so
think about that.
my entire right finger interacts for 3 different buttons for one really general use case. I
Yeah.
can't remap that. So, like, I feel like I have, like, 2 keybinds I can remap. And it genuinely, we did our Halo video, and it took me a while to get that set up, but I at least could do it. This game, I still don't feel comfortable with the control. I straight up feel so cumbersome.
And you're gonna play on the controller for most of it, so
I plugged in the controller. This is where we're going. The game, it feels better on the controller. I'm not gonna lie. It's got the same thing. So we're like, I press square to loot, but then I guess you press X to dismiss dialogue. So it's still kind of doing weird stuff. But there's other buttons that have double use in ways that make sense. But why is this the default setting? When you move the stick, it moves slowly and then goes fast. Like, and it's like a drastic difference. This is by default. I've never played a game where this is
it's
default.
probably why driving is so hard in this game.
Could be, but I don't think this applies for mouse and keyboard. But it has like turn delay, turn speed bonus. What was the other one? Like there was something with acceleration. Why are those options on like and the ones that are enabled and you have to go into advanced settings to find them and change them? I turned all of it off just to be able to move my shit consistently. And that doesn't even affect aim assist. So like first of all, I was real rusty with the controller, so I was kind of like I went back to using mouse and keyboard just because I was getting my shit pushed in playing on the
Yeah,
controller. But
because
at
we're
least
playing
like
on hard.
yeah, but at least the game was feeling better on the controller, but it's got me in a weird spot. But
I my only main beef with its controls, because I genuinely think that they made some decisions that I'm like, why? When there's such an industry standard for a reason, it's not just like, to me, like, I'm wondering if some of these decisions were like, well, that's the industry standard, and we don't follow the standard. We pave our own path. I don't want to toggle between. I don't want to have two keybinds for a toggle and a hold command.
yeah.
I want to be able to say on or off.
Yeah,
So,
because like most games will they don't put those two options as keybinds. They what do you want to use it for? And then in a separate section, do you want it to toggle or hold?
because
That makes
now
sense.
shift, caps lock, tab, control, and C are all are all occupied for literally two commands or three commands. Sorry, like, it's so unnecessary. We don't need it. Oh,
That's what
and
I
my mouse
mean.
key button. Like,
Yeah.
the
It's
whole
just very poor optimization of the keybind.
well, in crouch, to me, I'm like, when do we need to have that as a toggle? I don't remember that being a very common thing to be toggled.
Oh, see, yeah, you're the opposite. You like to hold your buttons. I feel like the majority of players like to toggle stuff. You like to hold your shift constantly and you like to hold your crouch. Whereas I'm
Yeah.
a toggle and I feel like most people are. But I mean, it's just a matter of preference.
Well, because for me, I like to go more stealthy with things. So, like, I'm more meticulous with like how long I want to crouch or run to something. And I feel like sometimes when I have toggle on, I'll forget, or I like, that's my logic of why I don't like it. And like,
Yeah. Well, like I
it
said, it's
doesn't.
preference. You're used to it too. So like
Yeah.
I feel more strategic with toggle because it's like, okay, I could throw it in there and then now I'm ready to get out of it. But again, personal preference. But it is funny that they took up 5 buttons to just tell you you can do this action.
Yeah. But I do like the toggle for when I have to do the inspects or the
Scanner mode.
scanner mode, which I honestly would argue that scanner mode is probably one of the biggest flaws right now with Cyberpunk.
Are you
I
talking about
personally
the scanner mode or the brain dance?
no, I well, we'll get to brain dance, but scanner mode, in my personal opinion, it's really cool at times, but for the most part, it is really hard to look at for the UI to like actually utilize it. And it could be yet again, this like us talking about this is like within 5 hours of gameplay. So
Do you feel like the UI is really tiny?
yeah,
It is minuscule. Like, I am squinting to see what is interactable in the scanner. Like, "Oh, look at that little white dot over there. I can go loot that. Okay, what is it? I don't know. I just pick it up because I
And
can't tell what I'm getting."
I can't tell if it's a bug, but like there's some things that have it, and then like I'll spend 5 minutes trying to hit every pixel around it to get it to pop, and then there's just ghost items like I can't pick up, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to pick up something here.
Yeah.
And well, not only that, but like when you're in the scanner mode, like the things that you can do in there are really cool, but at the same time, I think it's a lot to put in a mode of the visual of it can get a little convoluted and like too many things around for me to focus on. And like I get kind of lost on like breaching enemies or like trying to get to a certain point to look at to, like I want to deactivate this device. And it could
Yeah.
just be I'm not used to that and like that gameplay yet. So I mean, yeah.
So, as you might have noticed, I have a little bit more to say than Keegan does. And you want to tell him why that is, Keegan? Should you want to
Okay,
say or should I? Because you didn't play for as long as I did.
so when you start the game, it says, "Hey, warning, this game causes seizures." And
Epilepsy.
and that's kind of the new norm for literally every game. It's kind of like when you're in school and they do the fire alarm like scheduled and everyone's like, "Oh, it's just a fire alarm." And then you evacuate the school and then every single time it happens there always one kid will go like, "Well, what would happen if like an actual fire goes? Were we just going to be this calm and like, oh, it's just another fire alarm and then whatever." Seizures, that warning message, I see it all the time. I do get migraines a lot, and so I just kind of ignored it.
Wait a minute. You ignored the warning or the headache?
Both. Uh, 'Cause it's Cyberpunk, we waited, like, 5 years to play this. So, the brain dance happens, and what the brain dance is basically is, like, VR mixed with drugs. Um, you you and they put this little thing on your character, and it's supposed to be really immersive, blah, 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 yeah, 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 bug, bug, bug. But there's these little like I don't even know like lights basically on your UI that are supposed to like stimulate your character's eyes. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is cool. Granted, I haven't messed with any like the graphic settings of this game because it's running fine. There really isn't a brightness thing that they make you do. Like, most games are like
I
turn
couldn't
this
find
bar
it.
till
I
I
couldn't
I
find it.
I couldn't find it either. And the brain dance thing starts flashing it brighter and really quick, like out in like really like in sequence, and then your whole screen just goes a full white for this like non-skippable mission in the story. So like there's no getting around this mission. And like afterwards, I'm like getting into what you're supposed to do with it, and I think it's this really dumb gameplay mechanic. I think it's equivalent to Miles Morales missions in Spider-Man. But you have to like investigate and scan audio, scan thermals or whatever in this thing. But my eye just starts twitching. I can feel it in the back of my eyes. I'm like, oh, I'm getting a migraine. And I'm talking to Taylor and a couple other people in the chat, and I'm like, guys, I gotta go. And just like I thought I just have to drink some water, maybe take some migraine medication. Then I can't see out my left eye. Then I can't see both my eyes. And I'm like, wow, this is a really I've never had a migraine like within an hour, just like full smack into my head, and I was just out for the count. So only got to play
Game
3 hours
almost killed
on.
you, huh?
Oh yep, I mean no way around it. 3 hours into the game, and I had to stop. I
Dang. Yeah,
mean,
I was kind of concerned for you. I was like, "Yo, are you good?" He's like, not really. I'm gonna just like drink some water, lay down. I'll see you tomorrow." He's like, "Looking at my phone hurts right now." I'm like, "Oh, all right." But then I asked you, I was like, "Yo, like, is your brightness up really high in your monitor?" Like, cause I have mine at like 0 because like the computer is still really bright, and a lot of games have their own individual brightness thing. But I have the actual monitor at 0, and it's still pretty good. So like when that scene came up for me, I didn't even flinch. But then I like asked you the next day. I was like, is that what occurred? Like, is that what you think? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, dude, you gotta jack your brightness down then, because like that wasn't that like I shouldn't say it's not like epilepsy trigger, but like it wasn't as bad with the brightness lower. So
Yeah. It, I don't know. I've never experienced something like that where it happens that quick. But like my brain said yeet to playing the game. I was like, this bitch empty, and then just said yeet.
Yeet. Oh man. But the game is fire though.
Yeah.
After all that negatives, dude, we pulled a reverse. What you call it? Last of Us. When I told all the positives, and then I was like, "Nah, but the game is not great." This game is a big. I don't know what's going on, or I shouldn't say what's going on. I don't know what I am doing, but I'm loving it. Like
I
the atmosphere when it's working, I should say, feels great. Like I love walking around the city, driving around the city. I love like just like seeing what's going on. I just feel lost in it already.
I I can't remember the last time a game's made me feel like this. Like genuinely just I feel like a kid. I feel like I'm this is like new territory to discover to like just fully immerse myself in the game. And I think that's going to be the new cheesy tagline for this. You just get really fully immersed, but that's the best way to describe it. Like I'm petting cats, I'm seeing co carnage in the game. I'm, picking up I'm looting like crazy. And I don't know, like with all the bugs and everything, like regardless, like I knew that was gonna happen, and it's still so much fun. I will say it's overwhelming.
Oh.
Like,
Oh.
like I thought side missions on other games were like kind of like ADHD, like my like just chasing a car, like. But this game is like, yo, we'll just send you a text message. Hey, new
Yeah.
message, yo, like
And then you
go
go
do
on a
this
whole
mission.
string off of it.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I think it's overwhelming, but at the same time, they handle side missions really easily. Like, it's really easy just to hop over and do like 3, 4 side missions, which could be good and bad. If you want to like quickly grind the campaign, it's a little bit difficult. But
Yeah.
I was on one where it literally I did like 3 or 4 things into like a major side story arc, got like crazy good loot because it was these guys were way above my level
Mhm.
and I just like accidentally stumbled into it. And then I got really stubborn. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And I just kept save scumming and like working my way through it. And I got like some good loot. Like once I realized that, I'm like, dude, this is gonna be the new Skyrim. This is like the new. I'm just gonna keep playing, keep playing. I'm gonna get OP, and I'm gonna still be enjoying it. Like I when I played Skyrim, like I was doing all kinds of side missions, and like 80, 90 hours later actually decided to finish the main story arc. Like,
Yeah.
I have a feeling this game is gonna be pretty similar.
100%. Cause like, yeah, we knew the bugs were gonna be happening because the whole schedule of it. We don't have to get into the delays again, but they will patch most of them, over time. And it's already enjoyable despite those qualms. And like I think we do just kind of have to get used to the game. And it does a lot of stuff different. It does a lot of stuff the same. But I do think that this whole kind of like this is kind of like if Black Mirror was a game. It's like almost like a caution about the future and how like
Yeah.
tech will take over and all that crap. And like the guy has a vending machine that dispenses anything you could want in his apartment. Like, and it's just like a giant ad inside of his home. Like
Yeah.
when I start seeing some of this stuff, I'm like, dude, I can see this happening in like 50 years. Like I it's like kind of like that Black Mirror effect where you kind of like nervous chuckle like like
Like,
you're
you're like,
kind of
low key,
like I'm
that's lit.
enjoying this but like damn though.
I
So
know.
I think that like the way you just get texted a mission or called or like you can wander somewhere, you get distracted by
And
everything.
that's the immersion of it, dude. That's what they did successfully.
That's what I'm saying.
And like I was really nervous about its combat, and I was really nervous it wasn't gonna be up to the hype of just the environment. But dude, when I was doing it and it auto did the peak for me,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sold. Because I thought, oh shit, it doesn't have that where I could do like a quick like gun tilt.
Yeah.
And then when it did it automatically, and I was like, yo, they thought of everything on this one. I was like, okay. And then I tried out the sword, the katana it gives you for pre-ordering.
Mhm.
Bro, I don't do melee weapons in like this type of game, but your boy is going for it. It was so satisfying just slashing them up. I was like, okay. And it was kind of OP early. So I was like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna enjoy this game.
And I would say that, yeah, like I was pleasantly surprised by the combat because, like, I was a little bit worried. Like, The Witcher 3's combat kind of got a little bit stale because it didn't have too much to offer. And, like, you just had heavy, light attacks, and then you had your, your spells. And, like, that can get old, but it was more for, like, the story. This game has more you can do with the combat, and I also like first person shooters. Now, I do admit it has a little bit more clunk than some other games that I play, but, like, I am still pleasantly surprised with it. And I like I said, with the whole getting distracted by like missions, I get distracted by like, oh, I got a skill point. Let me spend 10 minutes deciding where I want to
Dude,
put it. Because
it's
not
so
only do we
large.
have 5 subcategories or main categories, kind of similar to like special in Fallout. You click into that, right? Then you have 2 or 3 subcategories. Do you want to go into the athletic side of body or like the handgun side of your dexterity or whatever they call it? And then once you go into that, then there's all the different nodes that you can put in multiple skill points into. And I'm like, bruh, I don't even know where to put what, when, how. Can I reset later? I don't even know. I'm just throwing shit somewhere because I don't want to spend 20 minutes trying to decide every time. Would I like it though? Because I'm just like, there's so much replay value. I'm already thinking about when I come back to this later. Like, it's just got me captivated, even through all of its flaws.
Yep. And we
Like,
haven't even scratched the surface. Like,
it's been 5 hours for me and only like 3 for you. Like, we have gotten nowhere.
I haven't even seen Keanu Reeves yet.
Yeah. So, like, this is all initial reactions. We said
Right.
how many bugs it has, and we've touched a little bit of the story. The main story, I think, is somewhere in like 40, 50 hours if you beeline it, which is a lot.
And we're happy. Like, I would say I'm happy, and
Yeah.
I'm happy, and I'm excited to dive in deeper, and then for me and you to have a really big episode about it. Like, I that's what I genuinely I can't wait for, like, just our final thoughts on it, because I'd be curious if, like, after the story's over, we would just be like, masterpiece, and like we would look
Or
back up,
garbage. Like,
or yeah.
this could change. Like, this is all like, that's what I kind of like about the initial impressions thing is like we talk about, everything that we want it to be and what it kind of like turned out to be, and then like where we see it going. And then like
Yeah,
a couple episodes later, yeah, we were wrong or we were right. Like, I think it's just gonna be a wild ride.
it
So
really will be, and I really hope that you guys, the viewers, stay with us on this wild ride. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you hit that notification bell, and you
if you're not
just,
still playing the game, like, take a
if
break
yeah,
to listen to us, please.
take, or pull it up while you're playing. Maybe we'll just, it'd be cool if you could do video inside the game, like while you're doing side missions, like you just pull up like YouTube. Anyways, but just make sure you guys subscribe, and then follow up with us as we go through some skits, and when we finally give our final thoughts on some Cyberpunk.
Dude, I mean, we talk about this game a lot. I feel like this is just gonna be a staple in video game talk for a long time.
Like Skyrim.
Yeah,
Like what?
yeah, like you said it earlier. But yeah, it's definitely gonna become just like a trope.
Yep.
So yeah, keep tuning in. Keep listening to us rant about this game because it's never gonna stop.
It ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop.
We'll catch you in the
No.
next one.
See you guys next time.
If we remember to record, we stop playing it.
If I don't lose my vision.
Yeah, don't kill yourself, man. You got to play with like a near black screen.